Good evening, folks. It is Tim here, and we are here with another Musician's Mind on the Monday night. Now we're a little bit later than the original, the original 8:30 time slot. My guest had a wonderful gig, so he's fully elated from said gig. And obviously, this is Musician's Mind, Raw Talk, Raw Music. And this is a conversation series that's really about exploring mental health in the creative world. And I want to create this space for musicians and artists and creatives and stuff, really to share their story and perhaps share some advice. And really just, like I say, create this space, because I think it's such an important thing this day and age that we have this conversation around mental health, especially for us creatives. It's a big thing. It's what we write about a lot of the time, or at least I do. Really quickly, I am supporting Lifeline, so please donate to Lifeline. There's it's all on my Instagram feed, so you can jump in there and suss all that stuff out. But without further ado, I'm going to add Senior Josh and accept him into this live video. And this is as raw and real as it gets, I'll tell you what, because there we go. Here he is, Mr. Lovegrove. How are you,
G'day, g'day.
sir?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Sorry for the tardiness.
Oh, look,
You
we'll
know,
let you off just this once. Just don't let
just
it happen
just
again,
this
all right?
one time.
Just this
Yeah,
one
I'm
time.
doing I'm doing well, mate. I am so grateful to be tuning in. Like
Oh man,
this yeah,
I'm so
this space, as
grateful
you
to
know,
have
is
you here.
something I'm super passionate about. So
Yeah, it's funny because I thought of this whole idea, this musician's mind thing, which it went through many names, many iterations in my initial stages. But you were literally the first person I thought of
yeah,
when I thought of
well,
this whole series idea. Everything I've watched your journey, man. I was thinking back the other day to when I first met you or saw you sing and play,
mm,
which was actually at the Loft in Sherman Island, like a
wow.
million years ago, right?
Okay.
It was that'd have to be like what, 12, 13 years, maybe around that
13,
10-ish years.
14, 14,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
wow, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Because
Um,
that was one of my first original gigs on the Gold Coast.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Wow, wow, that's
wild.
hectic, man. That's so wild.
Mm,
But that's how long I've sort of known you and at least watched your journey and what you've done as a musician, as
mm,
now a business owner, which is incredible. You've got Sounds of Life touring, which is phenomenal. Um, your whole ethos and what you're about. Like, I think there was a time there, correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of disappeared from socials for a while.
mm.
um, Whatever you were going through, might get that into that a bit. But when you came back, you looked like a beast. Like you're like bulked up. I was like, whoa, who's this guy? It's this new Josh Lovegrove. This is
Wow.
amazing. And just the whole journey, man, from start to finish. It's what's drawn me in to you and as a person. And I
Mm,
love seeing your content that you post online. And if anyone that is listening and watching, please jump on, support Josh, because the content you're chucking out there is incredible.
thank
You've got incredible
you.
gigs and live performances going on. Man, I could go on for days. You're amazing. You're amazing. A huge inspiration to me personally. Hence why I thought of you for this first thing. So I want to say a big thank you for coming on as my first official guest.
And,
Yay!
and I appreciate all of that so much. Yeah, thank you
My
for,
my
you
pleasure.
know,
My
just
pleasure.
opening this space. Um, yeah, wow. That that
It's
is
a thing,
so,
man.
I think it can be so easy to lose sight of, the way that we interact, especially with social media, and the fact that people actually are watching,
Yeah,
and seeing it. And I know for me, I can easily lose sight of, like, oh, I'm just kind of doing this, but no one's really paying attention because there's lots of noise out there.
so
And
much
I
noise,
think
man.
any of the artists can really like feel that. And so yeah, even just that affirmation feels really great to receive. So I appreciate that.
Oh man, my absolute pleasure. My absolute
Mm.
pleasure. And it's well deserved too, because I know you're probably one of the hardest working dudes I know
Mm.
in this industry. And it's definitely not easy. It's why we go through so many ups and downs, and it is that emotional roller coaster. So this whole thing is just the holding of the space for us as creatives.
Mm.
And not just you and me, but as in, collectively the us of creatives, because it's so important. And so many people don't, I think, understand how much life we put into these things.
Hmm.
And that's it's a huge emotional thing. Takes a
Yeah.
toll on occasion as well, which I
Well,
know it probably it
mhm.
definitely has for me. So,
It's, I've been speaking to some of my one-on-one clients about this. It's almost the paradox of your life is your passion is your job, and your job is your life.
mm,
And it's like
absolutely.
where does the well end, and how do you resource yourself well
Mm,
to actually
mm,
like sustain it and support it? And you know, I love that you brought that up, because being being in it long term has to be sustainable. And conversations
absolutely.
like this are imperative
Yeah.
for a sustainable, and like in for me, like inspiration is the key. Like I want to feel
Yes.
inspired, and to be inspired, I actually have to feel connected to my human self,
Yep.
not just not just the idea of the mission that I'm creating,
Yeah, man.
you know. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
yeah, yeah, it's
That's huge. The idea of the mission you're creating, I like that because it's I think as artists we have this, well, at least in the beginning we have this idea of who we should be
hmm
as an artist, or who we should look like to the people and to the world, and putting ourselves out there. But somewhere along the way we somehow find ourselves in a way.
yeah,
But we also lose ourselves, and we see
hmm
that probably more often, which is unfortunate
yeah,
in most cases. So many things out there like addiction and all those things. I know so many people that go through that kind of thing. But
yeah,
I know that, well, I don't know, but I feel that you've gone through some magnificent change and significant change
hmm
in your career, at least to this point. And
yeah,
can you sort of share a moment that was like a significant mental challenge for you, or like maybe you're going through something, whatever was going on, maybe how you got through it?
yeah. So I guess something that I've spoken about really openly through my social media, and um, one of the defining moments was 4 years ago, almost exactly. My mum passed
Mm,
suddenly, and so the reckoning of self that had to happen through that grief and through that,
yeah,
you know, now I consider it like an exploration, but then it was an initiation of,
yeah,
the absolute depths of helplessness, and this unfixable problem, that was like, what do I do now?
mm,
You know? Um, and as far as like the mental health implication of that, it's been an evolving journey for 4 years. Um, and you know, it's like my rational mind and my emotional body are quite separate.
mm,
I'm a very mindful person. I can make decisions that best suit my health and my mindset and all these kind of things. I have quite a strong handle on that, but my emotional body is like an equal partner.
mm,
And so like actually giving myself time to be with the truth,
mm,
and I bypassed myself super quickly. I was back touring within like 3 or 4 months of that
wow.
happening. And and in my head, I was like, I'm doing this so that I can, if I don't do it now, there's a chance that I will stop and I will never start
Mm,
again. It's
mm,
like when the engine stalls. And I think there was like a piece of self-deception there.
yeah,
Like I actually didn't want to stay in the depths of what I was feeling and what I was journeying, because it was like, in all honesty, it was like quite excruciating.
I
And
bet.
where I had the opportunity to meet myself again and again and again, just became about empowering myself to make a choice,
Mm,
and I've chosen, I've been a full-time performing artist for 15 years now, and
it's crazy, man.
there's been that choice again and again, because it's always demanded more of me, and I can either, I could have stayed the same and just like maintain that thing, but there is something in me that says I haven't done what I'm here to do.
Mm,
And so when I hit that mark and like had that moment of loss, there was yeah, there was so much like I could just give up, easily, and I could just find something else. Like my mum was a great supporter of my music and all of those things.
Mm,
And I I really changed my relationship with choosing. And that was a great offering that came as a result of that because I choose every
mm,
day. Like I
mm,
choose to be real in my life. Like we're talking about mental health. Like
mm.
I'm not gonna hot,
Yep,
gloves off tonight, right?
yep,
It's as you said, like this journey is dynamic and it has its peaks and then it has those moments where you just feel isolated and you can just feel like nothing is gonna pull you out until
mhm,
you pull yourself
mm.
out. Which is not entirely true all the time either. Like I know for myself, when things get challenging, I tend to isolate myself because I go
Yep,
into a bit of nobody understands me.
yeah.
Um, and then I have to meet that and go, actually, I do have a beautiful partner. I've got amazing friends, and I've got like a broader community who are always
Mm,
there if I allow it.
yeah.
So anyway,
If you allow it,
yeah.
huge.
So coming back to like that moment. It was a defining moment. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and the how I've been able to resource myself through that, and you know, I go out and I play music, and I honor her life and the fact that it was cut short through my efforts. Now,
that's
so it was like
beautiful, man.
yeah, I'm I'm playing with that at the moment of going like, am I still caring for myself in the honoring of her life? That's the next layer
Mm,
of am I really honoring myself and the fact that I am alive, or am I like pushing all of my capacity, energy? Am I really like nourishing myself? Um, so yeah, it's been quite a big journey
that's
since
huge,
then.
man.
Yeah,
That's huge.
but if
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
I I remember I remember hearing of that of your mum passing, and
Mm,
I was gutted for you, man, and still am. It's a big thing to adjust to
mm,
as well. Moving forwards, always like there's that part of you always that's always there, and doing what you're doing. I think honoring her, but finding that balance in what you're doing as well, where like you say, trying to nourish yourself at the same time. Because it's a very fine line, isn't
mm,
it? Because
mm.
it's really easy to go one way or the other. Really, like it's really hard to just keep pushing under the you know pretense, I guess, that you think you're doing the right thing until you're
Yeah.
not,
Hmm.
until it all comes crashing down into a heap.
Yeah.
But man, by all reports, I think you're doing exactly that. I think you're
Mm,
absolutely honoring her and yourself.
mm,
At least from everything that I'm seeing, from what you like I said, from your content, what you're posting, what you're doing, how you carry yourself is a big part of it. I think, and man, it's that to me because you are so raw, so unfiltered, and so real about everything. I think that's you were saying I draw you, and I think you draw me in that same space because it's man, it's inspiring in that way. Um,
I really.
so man, I hear you. That's
Mm,
that would have been a really rough journey. And I mean, I've got both parents, both sides of my family, and everything else, and I can't fathom the loss that would be.
mm.
But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have experienced something similar, and at least as an artist, to some degree, you can express it, I
Yeah.
guess, in your music. Have you written songs about this experience or going through these experiences?
Yeah, I have, and I was writing quite a lot to try and express it to the best of my ability, and
Mm,
writing about loss and writing about grief was really interesting because no matter how good the song was, it always felt bland,
yeah.
and And so I have a lot of songs in the catalog that have been written about that experience, but the one song that I'm actually performing now and the most vulnerable thing that I get to share is a song that I wrote called "The Woman You
Mm,
Are," and basically it was a song about honoring her as as the person that she was and always will be,
Yeah,
not
man.
not feeling her loss,
Yeah,
because the loss was always like it was out of reach for me, but that gratitude for her as a person will always exist.
of course.
And so performing it, I still like connect into the fact that she's not here,
Mm,
but there is like there's it's almost a song of hope,
yeah.
and I love singing it, and the lines in the chorus are, "I'm my mother's son, her blood runs through my veins." Although
That's
I
beautiful.
can't see her now, she's with me just the same. It's just
Yeah.
this sense of like I will carry her story and her wisdom and her essence through me, and
Oh man,
and that's the song that has like really resonated.
that's
So
amazing, man. That,
yeah,
that's
you know,
powerful. That's
mm,
powerful stuff too. And there's a certain I could absolutely hear that when you would sing it live, that it would move mountains. It would move the entire
mm,
audience to to that same space that you're in a heartbeat. Like that's
mm.
that's awesome, man.
One of the most beautiful reflections that I've had so far um, was this woman came up to me after a show, and she actually said when she was receiving the words coming from me, she was thinking about what her sons would say about her
Mm,
once she was gone. And I thought about it like, oh, sons will feel this and mothers will feel it in the present, but I had never thought about the the way that the ripple
yeah,
goes, and something that I'm really like honing in on for myself is I just want I want to feel that I'm like true in the moment, in the way
yeah.
that I express myself, even the way that I hold myself,
Hmm.
as you said, because there are so many micro moments where you actually just like you stiffen up a little bit, or you head down, or you hold yourself so that you can be seen a particular way, but not necessarily be true to how you are.
Yeah,
And so for me, it's been really tuning into those subconscious patterns of like, I need to be seen a particular way to be respected or to be influential or
yeah.
any of those things, because the genuine nature of where I'm going to meet my life is actually going to be the thing that makes the impact.
Oh, yeah, man. That's
Mm.
huge. Well said.
Yeah.
Really well
Thank you.
said.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Mm.
funny because prior to this chat, looking up some stuff online and things like that, and one of your little tags is inspiration leader,
Mm.
which I love that because, again, even just hearing these words, it's very inspirational. You're very aware of what's going on inside your head, which is to me at least, from what I've seen, it's a rare thing for someone to be so in tune with themselves in that
Mm.
way. And like I said, it's the way that you carry yourself, and I think those subconscious moments that you're talking about, and just with you being so real and raw and genuine, I think is
Mm.
probably the best word to sum it all up. There's so much genuine energy about you that it's hard to go past any of that. It's like what you
Mm.
get is what you get. It's you're you, and that's the best part about it. And whether you're singing a song for your mum, people are going to feel that. Whether you're singing a song for anything, anyone in any way, shape, or form, conveying any emotion, they're going to feel every tiny little hint and slight of change of in
Mm.
the air. It's incredible, man.
Mm.
It's I'm inspired by you. I really am. One of your actually, I need to find it now. One of your things you sent through to me was fierce advocate for all things true and real,
Yeah.
and I love that because even
Mm.
just hearing you talk now, man, that's 100% you.
Mm.
Um, so well done, man, because it's not easy um, doing what we do, and you seem to do it with such grace and such poise and genuine um, love of everything and everyone, which is amazing. And it's true
Thank
because we should
you.
all be, we're all in this together. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And there is those moments of separation, those moments of loneliness where we feel that we don't have anyone.
Mm.
I've been through the same sort of thing. Um, Much like yourself, we all go through these moments, and you feel so isolated, which is it's a horrible place to be, and it can really eat you
Yeah.
up. I've been there probably too many times to count, and like yourself, I tend to isolate, and it can be crippling. And ultimately, even if somebody tries to help or wants to help, you end up pushing them away to a degree
Yeah.
until you're ready to help yourself.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, some people don't win that battle, which is a really, really sad thing. And I know it's not just us local artists that struggle. It's the same with all the, celebrities and stars and people that seemingly have it all.
Yeah.
Um, they run in the same circles in that respect, and it's all about what goes on up in here. And I know that, well, at least I've seen in your journey that a big part of your mental health and strength has been your physical health and strength. Like you say,
Hmm.
are you nourishing yourself? Are you looking after yourself? Tell me a little bit about that journey, because obviously I saw a massive transformation to, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, to now.
Yeah.
Um, Man, you look fit, healthy, strong, all of those things. Like,
Mm.
how has that
Thank
affected
you.
your sort of mental health journey as well?
I thank you. I
Pleasure.
feel like so training was a really big part of this reckoning.
Hmm.
I've always had the idea of writing a book of 5 things I learned about life in the gym. And I
Hmm.
think when I first started, I honestly I kind of went too hard.
Hmm.
It became a very like the pendulum swung just a little
Yeah,
bit too far, and I was
yeah,
spending
I
two
get
or
it.
3 hours in the gym every day, and
Wow.
was very committed to that because I was actually imbibing my commitment to life. I was
Yeah,
like, all I need to do is be consistent and breathe and be patient and pay attention and you know just yeah, there was something that I needed to learn in that time.
mm,
And once I actually kind of got my head and my heart in the connected,
mm,
because training for me is very linear. Like it's pick
yeah,
up the heavy thing, put it down. It's very single task orientated, whereas my work is purely heart.
yeah,
It is driven by the heart and passion. And so once I like link those two things, the way that I would navigate my life became centric on this like core set of values that I was practicing in the gym.
yeah.
And so when I would have
Brilliant.
like I call them mental head colds. Like I don't like to identify with any labels of depression or anxiety or anything like that because I feel like that just gives you a permission slip to stay in a
Yeah,
state,
that's
and
a fair
I
call, man.
I fully honor that a there is a place for diagnosis and for support. For me, it hasn't felt applicable because I've tried to resource myself with the environmental factors.
Hmm.
So yeah, so when I would two things that the gym isn't is the gym is not an escape for
Mm,
me. Like I don't go to the gym when I need to empty my mind. I actually go to the gym to feel what I'm feeling more
mm,
actively,
yeah,
like you strike me as the same kind of person. Like we can think things, but feeling things is a different thing.
abs
And so
so
taking
yeah, absolutely.
taking yeah, like taking the noise and taking the chaos and actually bringing it into the body,
Hmm.
and even to a point like feeling the struggle or
Hmm.
feeling the angst or the anxiety. Like
Hmm.
I'll go and do deadlifts when something is alive in my brain, but I just can't feel it in my gut, because you have to be present with your body.
Yep.
Um, and same thing with anything heavy. And then I go through big seasons now. Like I don't train like am going to be a bodybuilder, which is great because I have, a beautiful family and
Hmm.
I try and create a bit of balance and things like that.
Absolutely. It's
But
important.
yeah, but I think still knowing that it plays an important part even just as a reset mechanism.
Yeah.
You know, if I start the day and go to the gym and little ritualistic things, like have a glass of water
Mm,
and make better nutrition choices. I'm like, it just all snowballs until it
absolutely.
all makes sense, you know? Um, yeah. And the other thing the gym isn't is it's not a band-aid. Like
No.
it doesn't fix any of my problems. If anything, sometimes it amplifies them so I can see more clearly
Yeah.
what I actually need to pay attention to. Yeah.
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 It's so true,
Mm,
man. That's
mm.
so, so true.
Yeah. What's your like relationship with training? How do you?
So I had I have an interesting relationship with it, and recently it's saved me more than I can say,
Mm,
really. It's like I'm not that I'm counting, but I'm week 9 into my training regime.
okay, great. Yeah.
But no, and I'm I'm secretly really proud of myself for doing this because it was initially 4 or 5 days a week. I just got up here just by myself, just trained, just lifted heavy things, put them down. That's
Mm,
basically the gist of it. And there was a little bit of ego in it. I'm like, yeah, I want to get a little bit bigger around here and get a bit of muscle going on and stuff. And that's still a part of it. I want to feel good. I want to look good, that kind of thing. But the biggest part of it, like you say, it's not an escape. It was to feel those things that I was feeling. But
mm,
once I started feeling them in that way, ev- everything else sort of started to fall into place a little bit better. I got that little bit
mm,
stronger here, I got a little bit stronger up here, and then naturally I got that little bit stronger physically as well. It was
yeah.
just it was a really cool flow on effect. And now it's kind of like I said, it's not a band-aid, but I do feel like, oh, I need to move. I need to pick things up. I need to do something. Um, whether it's like you say, the anxiousness or the anxiety or the whatever it is that I'm feeling, it helps. Like you say, it helps me work through it as
Yeah.
well. It's much of
Yeah.
a muchness. And I used to think that it was an escape. And I trained martial arts for like 7, 8 years,
Wow.
as well,
Awesome.
doing Arakan, which is great. That thing up there, that yellow
Cool.
belt there, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, actually, physically and mentally, because you have to put your whole heart. It was basically trying to kill me for an hour and a half, and I had to not die.
Sadly.
It's
Yeah.
full on, but it was the best thing because high school I was bullied and all that kind of stuff, which is what sort of dr- drove me to that point to get to a martial arts thing, and
Mm,
not just to be able to defend myself, but to have that self confidence, bodily self confidence, that connection between mind and body was a huge
yeah.
part of it. And it evolved. I've gone back to training here and there, and I still love to train it and that kind of thing. But now it's just ingrained. It's just part of who I am and what I do. Um, and there's that martial discipline about it.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
show up.
Hmm.
You show up whether you feel like it or not. You
Oh
just
man.
do it because it's that
Totally.
consistency.
Hmm.
And I found that has come to pass in so many areas of life, mental health in general. Um, come up to the studio and record a song, even when I don't feel like it. See
Mm.
what happens. Give myself the permission to be crap,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or
I
or
love
sing
that.
horribly, or sing bad notes, or whatever the case, or play horribly, or write a really bad song, a bad lyric, throw it out the neck. Who cares?
Mm.
Do a bad gym session. You're still moving, you're still doing something, you're still showing up,
Yeah.
which is a huge thing. Um, I want to ask you. You have done stuff like mentoring, or at least doing more mentoring and stuff now.
Yeah.
Uh, what's what are some of the sort of things that you're mentoring to or for or with? Like, what's in that space for you? And like, is that sort of advice driven, or is it like, as your handles and stuff say, like inspiration leader? You're just leading by example. I feel like you are, but is that part of it? Talk me through that.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a couple of different things. The first is absolutely, I hold myself to a high accountability where I will not teach something that I do not withhold, or something
Mhm.
that I do not like imbibe within
Yeah,
my own action.
yeah.
And so it's been really interesting. You know, I've got four one-on-one clients at the moment,
Amazing.
and and it just they just came through very naturally. I didn't promote myself as a mentor or as a coach or anything like that because I wanted to really only work with the people who resonated with, I guess, with me as a person and with
Mhm.
their own work and what I could bring to their space.
Yeah,
And so really it's driven by the umbrella of creative leadership.
yeah,
Like I believe wholeheartedly that to be an artist, you have to be a leader,
yeah,
you know, and that includes competency and it includes like mental dexterity and creative mindset and resourcefulness and all these like little pieces that kind of all play together so that you can go, no matter what the instance, you can find your way through it powerfully. You know, I
that's
think
amazing.
when,
Yeah.
oh, and just seeing the way that it is moving, because some people, you know, some people just need a reminder of their inherent knowing. Like
Mm.
people are out there doing it and they know that they're fucking amazing, but somehow they still find themselves in a pattern of diminishing the self. You know,
Yeah.
the art is smaller than the person
Mm.
and it can be represented in such small ways that are felt. You know, something that I started to notice is people would remember me
Mm.
beyond oh, you played that song that I really liked. It's like, oh, you were in the place that I was in 5 years ago. Are you still doing the music thing? Like I had that
Mm.
moment and I just started to like play with that of going like, what am I actually bringing to the space that people are feeling? Because they're
Mm.
not remembering it. Like we're busy, you know, the world is
Yeah,
fucking busy at the moment.
it's
Well, maybe
ridiculous.
always has been, but what I realize is that I bring certainty into everything that I do.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
as
you
an
do.
artist, I feel like that is just an underutilized quality. If I walk into a space, I, you know, I am the authority on my job, and that is how I walk into the room, and so I just empower people to pick who they want to be and really choose. That's really the crux of it. Some of my clients were working on projects like launch shows or records or different things, and some I'm just an advisor and a bit of accountability. And it's been incredibly nourishing for me. It almost gives
Yeah,
me hope of like people are actually out there striving and fucking getting it.
yeah,
Um,
doing it.
yeah, which is good. And I think a driving force of that for me was I had a few like foundational humans that came into my life while I was in the developmental phase of my career.
Hmm.
And I just wouldn't be who I am without feeling their presence in my life. And I love the idea of offering that to artists.
That's
Of
awesome.
going, if I say one thing which prompts one thought, which creates one amazing offering that belongs in the world, I'm
Yeah,
stoked. Like, and it's just that simple. And we meet every week, and we just have this opportunity to grow side by side, and for them to feel supported, and for me to feel like I'm nurturing a greater sense of the creative community.
that's unreal.
Hmm. It's been
See,
amazing.
inspirational. Everything is just you. Yeah, that's unreal, man. I take my hat off to you because that not only does that take a lot of courage from the other person to to be in that space with you or to invite somebody into their space and go, hey, I need some help.
Mm,
What advice can you give me in this space, wherever that might be? But from yourself, that's a lot of investment. Um, from the heart,
mm,
from even from the head, the logical side of things that you need to come up with, and what's some practical stuff I can give you, or even like you say, even if it's just to come up with something to say, hey, be yourself, whatever that might be,
yeah.
whatever the case, however that sort of presents itself. But that's a lot. That's bravery. That's courage because so many people aren't in a space within themselves that they can do that and they can
Mm,
express that. And like you said, you never you never teach anything or coach anything that you're not in or that you don't encapsulate or that's not you. And I'm very much the same. I can't sell a car to save my life. I don't know cars.
Totally.
But singing, I'll tell you anything and everything that I know. And
Mm.
I'll always impart that knowledge as best as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you of my struggles. And hopefully, by telling you of my own struggles and my own triumphs, hopefully you gain some kind of insight out of that for yourself. And like you say, it's imparting even just that little bit of wisdom or that little bit of anything, that spark, even that inspiration that creates that idea that goes out into the world. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Mm.
And the world needs more people like you to do it. It's
I appreciate
incredible,
it. Appreciate that,
man.
bro.
So
Mm.
good. I want to know, is there a song? Is there some kind of song that maybe when you were going through the stuff that you had with your mum, whether it's the song that you wrote or that you've done, is it that song, or is there a particular song from another artist that maybe has supported you mentally through this kind of
Mm.
something you just chucked on repeat
Mm.
constantly? You just drive. It doesn't matter where it is. You can just put that song on and be like, "Yep, I'm here now. This is me. This is helping."
Yeah.
Tell me about that song.
So I have this like gem of a song
Ooh,
when
I like this already.
so for the last 12 years, right? There's a bit of a story. For the last 12
Right.
years, when there would be an impactful moment in my life or something really beautiful that I want to remember, I would
Mm-hmm.
play this song.
Ooh,
I would play this same song. And so have you seen the Harry Potter where Dumbledore like puts all of his memories in the bowl, like in
yes,
the thing?
yes.
So this is what I've created with this song.
Ooh,
And so the
I,
the
I
song is
like it.
called A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke,
Ooh,
but it's the Gavin DeGraw version. And it's
okay.
Gavin DeGraw just sitting at the piano, incredible, incredible singing. And when I listen to it, like I see the first tour that I went on through the Darling Downs, and I see sitting on the Esplanade in the Redlands looking over the ocean, and I see the first supermoon that I ever saw, and like I just have years
That's
of
awesome.
beautiful moments in this one song. And so it's not the song that helped me out of any particular moment, but when I play it, I actually can, this is the power of music, and this is
Yeah, man.
something that I so am so committed to creating something that can just like recall hope and connection to like the exquisite timeline that we get to live.
Oh man,
So like a
so
change is
good.
going to come, Gavin DeGraw version
Gavin
on the stripped album.
DeGraw.
Yeah,
Oh,
is absolutely
I'm
worth
gonna
it.
listen. I have to listen to this song when we finish
Yeah,
up here, and I'm gonna sit
it,
here and live vicariously through your experiences whilst
mhm,
listening to it.
awesome.
Because that's awesome, man. Good job. Well, you've
Yeah.
traveled like you've done the tour of Australia, haven't you?
Hmm.
Like all the way around Australia and stuff
I haven't I
extensively.
haven't gotten I haven't gotten up through the Kimberleys yet,
Okay,
but it's on the cards.
that's awesome.
Um, yeah, I did 3 months on the road last year and
Yeah.
did the whole East Coast, South Australia, and WA, and then kind of came back around.
Oh,
Um, but I would love to spend more time in the Northern Territory and more time, you know, do like a boat trip or something through the Kimberleys because that part of Australia has been calling my name for 10 years.
that's so good, man.
Yeah.
And traveling in itself is this whole other game, isn't it? Like just the whole
Hmm.
mental health side of that. Did you travel by, was it just you or did you travel with someone?
So I traveled with a tour manager last year,
Yeah.
um, which I hope she's not on the live. No, look, she was an absolutely beautiful person, and I really respect the work that she did to support me, and I I didn't follow my intuition that told me that traveling together would actually be more detrimental than positive.
Yeah.
And I think it really instilled this. I have to be like absolutely discerning about who's on my team
Hmm.
because if I feel like I can't express myself fully or I can't just be myself, when I'm going through challenges, because touring is hard work. And I've
Really?
written songs about how fucking taxing it is. Like we
Yeah.
drove, and traveled 50,000 kilometers over 3 months,
That's a lot,
to
man.
get together. And yeah, and I just felt myself like kind of constricting myself. And I really like my voice started to get really like strained, and my physical body really suffered because my mental and emotional body were like, that you're not making room
Mm,
for us to
mm,
actually exist. And I'm really one about creating safety
mm,
for myself to
mm.
feel what I need to feel. And
So important, man.
yeah, and so I think like I really honored that experience that I had with her, and I had to take that on board and go, the team that I need to have really need to resonate with me as
Mm,
a person first, and as the musical project second.
that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, because
That's
yeah,
huge.
it came back, and I had to go into repair. I essentially went into hibernation for a few months just to repair. My nervous system was absolutely shattered after that.
That's crazy, man. And I
Yeah.
wonder how many people are experiencing that like now.
Mm,
And not just musically or creatively, but just in the world where, they go to work every day, they're surrounded by the same people, and that those same people might, like you said, they constrict you, and you feel unsafe
mm,
in the body that you're in because of whatever chaos has been created in that space. Um, and it's so important, but for you to acknowledge that and bring yourself out of it, that's huge.
mm.
And I mean, you had the opportunity, obviously, post gig during the tour. And it's hard work, man. That's a
Yeah.
lot of time, like one-on-one time, time together, and you're both tired, cranky, hungry, all those things, all you see all the sides of the human being in those places,
Yeah.
mentally and physically. Um, yeah,
I
but
mean,
to pull
it,
yourself out,
mm. It came to the point earlier this year, where I actually had to send her a message and say, you know, I'm sorry for who I resign myself to be based on my own choice,
mm,
and really, I like a really important part of my life is
yeah,
ownership. Like I'm responsible for my
yeah,
choices and for my actions. And yeah, when I reflected back, I was like, I didn't mean to be a bit of a dick, you know, but I found myself just really struggling so much that that was who I ended up being. And once
mm,
I owned that choice, it was like it was like the mental weight of there's
yeah,
something unsaid here, and
yeah,
it needs to exist so that
yeah,
there can be peace. Like the pursuit of peace is something that I'm in constant, a constant dance with, because as you know, like the music industry and just the world at large can be quite a chaotic place.
mm,
And so really to be like actively attuned to the things that bring you peace. And for me, it's just offering the truth, offering the truth from a place of love and transparency, and not trying to put yourself in a position of power over somebody else. The truth needs to
mm,
exist, and that's where peace lives for me.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and so yeah, that was that was good. That was that was like a good like learning, and touring. I haven't done any like big tours this year, but I think like the end of the year will be dedicated to putting like laying the foundation to do a lot more
Yeah,
touring next year. I'm excited for that.
that's huge, man. Good on
Mm.
you. I look forward to watching you on those tours too, because I love the content that you create on that stuff, and you're in your big van and whatnot, driving around
Yeah,
doing what you
that's
do.
right.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And you play. How many instruments do you play? Because I know you play a lot. You play like flute, guitar,
Oh,
and piano.
keys and probably like six or seven,
Yeah,
pretty
right.
well.
Pretty
Um,
well. Pretty
yeah,
well. So modest.
just
So modest.
just well enough. But I did have a knack for like picking stuff up pretty quickly when I was in school. I was the guy that the instrumental teacher would be like, "Hey, can you just learn oboe for 1 year because we've got somebody coming in who plays, but we have a year without an oboe player. Or like I played French
Yeah.
horn for a little while, and just did some fucking weird stuff.
That's really
Um,
cool though, because all
yeah.
those elements would absolutely help. Obviously, it creates like a musical palette,
Hmm.
and you can just draw from that different shades and colors and feels and styles and things. And I love that.
Yeah.
That especially that orchestral space too. There's so
Hmm.
much that that space can offer, even modern pop music in general. Like it's
Totally.
incredible, incredible what it can do for people.
Man,
Um,
I feel like there's a beautiful like opportunity at the moment where just random sounds out of context, putting that into music and just like giving it its own signature thing. Like I was talking to somebody
yeah,
today about Phineas,
yeah,
who produces all of Billie Eilish's stuff,
yeah,
and it was like just the bravery to take random sounds and go, that's the snare drum,
yeah,
or that's the
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like there's like the cinematic real world nature
yeah.
application in music
Didn't didn't
now, which is really
didn't
exciting.
they take the sound of the crossing in Australia,
Oh,
like
the
the
sidewalk and the
Sydney,
tick tick
yeah,
tick
the
tick tick.
sidewalk crossing, yeah, and then
Yeah,
they like
man.
speed it up, and it's in, isn't that like Bad Guy or something like that?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's, and that's an iPhone
Yeah.
recording. Blows my
Um,
mind.
Another one is like three matches. Like there's a snare sound that's like, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
literally three matches being lit,
That's
and just
incredible,
on a,
man.
I think a TLM like 103. That's just what they recorded all the tracks on. I was like, that is the perfect testimony of you don't need fancy shit to do
No,
amazing stuff.
no, you really don't. You really, really
Yeah.
don't.
Mm.
I love that. Isn't music just an incredible thing?
Oh man.
I've said this so much, especially this year. I've just said music is like the universal language, and sometimes it's the unspoken universal language because it's
Hmm.
a language unto itself. You know, it's music, it's frequency, it's vibrations. Um, and you know, going to Europe and stuff like that, and then coming like, I didn't talk to half of these people, but we were there sharing music together in the
Yeah.
same space, and like we're like family now, and it's
Wow.
crazy how that just works because
Mm.
it's music and it's all these little things like the matchsticks and this like just all that stuff that just all comes together and it doesn't matter how it's created if it's created, you know,
Yeah.
as long as it's created, that's the best space, that's the best place to be.
Yeah. Love
I
that.
love it. I
Mm.
absolutely love it. Man, you have been an absolute treat to talk to you. And I like it as even now post conversation, I feel like you were the absolute best choice for this first episode of this series, in Musician's
Oh,
Mind, because
thank you.
delving into your mind, and I feel like we could talk for hours, I'm sure.
I think we could. Yeah.
We should
Yeah.
absolutely, we should definitely take you up on this offer of getting
We'll
a
create a
tea
long
and
form. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
create a
yeah,
long
it's
form
exactly that.
YouTube,
It's a
like a
24-hour
Joe.
chat between Josh
Yeah,
Lovegrove.
like a Joe Rogan long haul. Yeah. Right.
Get your pillows and popcorn, people. It's going to be a
Yeah.
long show.
Oh man, I'm
But
here
no,
for that.
it's been so cool, and like I say, I feel like we've only scratched the surface of everything, and I know there's a lot more of you to give. Which I would absolutely implore people to jump online and follow you and do what you do and come to your live shows and all those things as
Mm.
well. Your Sounds of Life touring thing is incredible. I
Yeah.
love that you've
Thank
created
you.
that space for everyone as
Mm.
well. Um, and hopefully we get the chance to work together in the future in
Yeah, I
that
hope so,
space as
bro.
well.
Yeah.
Even some performing and stuff. I'm sure that'd be amazing. It'd be great to do a show together one day.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
I'm working on I'm working on a new album finally.
Ooh.
I
That's exciting.
Yeah, I
I was
just
going to ask what
decided.
projects you've got going on, so
Oh
that's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. So just yeah, I got into this weird space of like I'm gonna really commit to the live space, and the ongoing artist battle with Spotify really like took a hold of me for a while. And
Yep,
I was like, I'm not putting energy and resources into something that does nothing for me.
yep,
And that in itself was such like a narrow mindset, and I had to meet myself in that and go,
yeah.
are you actually just afraid of failure?
Mm,
Because I know how to be a great performer and I know how to put on a fucking great show,
mhm.
but I think I was actually hiding from doing the work as a recording artist,
Yeah,
because
right.
it's different,
Yeah,
and so this year, like last year, I came up with the concept of like the pursuit of grace is the
Mm,
name of the album.
I love that.
And
Love that.
yeah,
My daughter's
I
middle
mean,
name is Grace.
oh, beautiful. Yeah.
For that same, like a very similar reason, I guess. That pursuit
Mm,
of grace. That's a very, very like in a good way, a heavy word.
totally. Yeah.
It holds a lot of weight. That's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Pursuit of grace.
Yeah.
And when are you sort of
Yes.
hoping to? I mean, I know an album process is a long process, or it can be. Have you
Yeah.
got a rough timeline on it,
I,
or is it
I
you
would
sort of
love it to be,
halfway through, or
yeah, I would love it to be almost all of the songs are fully written and like half of them are mapped out pretty well.
nice,
Um, and I'm gonna try and have it done by my birthday on the 8th of February and
excellent. Mark that in the
just kind of
calendar.
done and just have that there. Um, yeah, because it's been
Hopefully
a
it'd be like a
huge,
culmination of like everything and like the release date on your birthday. You could do a live show. You could like
yeah,
album. You could do the whole
all the
thing. How
stuff
good would that be?
would
All the
make it.
stars would align for Josh.
That's right. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's really got my attention at the moment because the songs feel really incredible,
That's good.
and
It's
I've
half the
been road
battle.
testing some of them for years, and I'm just like it's time to capture them and let them exist. Um, and
Let them
yeah,
exist. That's great.
yeah,
You
and Sounds of
actually,
Life. Oh yeah, go on.
that just reminded me because I remember seeing you at the loft, like we said, and I came to you and said, "Have you got an album out or an EP or something?" You said, "Yeah, I've got an EP, but man, some of these songs are so old. Like you were like, oh, it's not really representative of what I do now." And I
Okay.
feel like you kind of just said a similar thing, which is really,
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah,
It's like you've been road testing this stuff for years, but it needs to be out there, and whatever you've got out there now isn't quite who you are. And that's the constant evolution, though, because as you
mm,
go through your mental health and your battles and your triumphs and things, that's what changes everything, isn't
yeah,
it? Like
yeah.
that's what the experiences are in these songs,
Well,
and it's such an
yeah.
important part.
I think. Man, like I love the idea of just writing, the same song or the same experience from a totally different vantage
Oh,
point.
oh yeah,
It's like, oh, a heartbreak that I felt 5 years ago. Like I might be traversing that, but what am I harvesting from it now?
yeah,
What are the points of impact and how do we illustrate it? And like we were talking about, like, mum and the loss of that, and that has been illustrated so many ways,
yeah, man.
of going like I'm actually going, I'm taking myself out and just like witnessing and going like, oh, okay, so here's the anger and here's the resentment and here's the loss and here's the joy and here's the, thank you
Mm,
and all
all
these
the perspectives.
all the things and I feel like when you actually have that zoom out, you can write like you write at a different pace
Yeah,
because trying to filter. You're not filtering
yeah,
anything. You're just going, all right, it's
yeah.
here. Go for it.
That's amazing.
Um,
I am so excited to hear some of these new
yeah,
songs from you too, from this
yeah,
Pursuit of Grace album. Even more excited to hear and experience them live, to tell you the truth,
I would love
because I know
that.
how authentic you are, um, and what you do, and that would just be an incredible experience in general. So,
Mm,
man,
that's great.
I can't thank you enough for joining me on this first episode one of Musicians Mind, raw talk, raw music, and this is going to be an ongoing thing, and I'm so excited to explore this whole space. Um, and I reckon we'll come full circle one day, and we'll have this conversation again and see what's changed. But we're
Totally.
really cool. I know next week's. I'm not going to announce it yet. I'll
Okay.
announce next week's guests.
Ooh,
Not next week. Fortnight's guest
okay.
tomorrow. But
Nice.
it's an absolute cracker, and I can't wait to get them online. Um, but I just want to remind everyone that, like we've said a couple of times in this, that we are in this together. If you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, please reach out. Myself, Josh, I'm sure you're happy to hold the space for somebody and have that
For
conversation,
sure.
because these kinds of conversations, they just need to happen. The
Mm,
awareness out there of everything. I know it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and there was Suicide Prevention Day and month as well. It's all
yeah,
happening in September, but that should be every day
I
and
think
every
so
month, in my
too.
opinion, because there are still people out there struggling, whether they acknowledge it, know it, or not. And there's support out there. I'm supporting Lifeline at the moment. We've got I think we've already reached the goal. I wanted to raise $150. I think it's not a huge outrageous goal, but it's something. And I think
It
we hit
helps.
that. Like it was
Yeah,
$155 or something. So it all helps.
so good.
It all helps.
Mm,
Just putting it all out there. And if anyone that has watched or is listening or still watching, if any of this is of value to any of you guys, please share it.
mm,
I got so much out of this. I love talking to you, man, because it's again, you're so real, and that's what I absolutely love. Um, you've lived everything. I feel like you've lived
mm,
this, and not just like you've been through it. Like you've lived it, and you've got all this knowledge and experience from it, from such a unique perspective.
mm.
Because it's so I don't know. It's just so you. That's what I love about it. But please join us or join me, I should say, again in a couple of weeks' time. When's the next one? I need the calendar up, and I don't have my calendar up because I'm horrible with
I'll,
dates, right?
I'll
And
be
I move
watching. I'll be
things.
watching. So
You'll
yeah,
be
you
watching.
can join us. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be there.
we can join it again. The 7th of October. That's when it is. The 7th of
Beautiful.
October.
Yeah,
Is the next Musician's Mind, and Josh, thank you, man.
my
Appreciate your
pleasure.
time. I appreciate you.
And
Absolute legend.
thank
Um,
you, thank you for holding the torch and really
my pleasure.
committing to this conversation. It it's an amazing quality to see people really action things that they advocate for,
Thanks,
and
man.
this is the perfect demonstration of that. So thank you a
No,
lot.
thank you very much. My pleasure. My absolute
Mm,
pleasure. Um, reach out anytime. Always
will
here.
do.
Always here for
Legend.
anyone, and not just yourself. For
Mm.
anyone. Look after yourself mentally, physically. I know you will. But good luck with everything else on the road. I know you're going to smash it. And until next time, I'm going to sign out and leave you to it, man.
Thanks, team. Okay,
No worries.
take care.
Much love.
See you
See you,
soon.
brother.
See you, brother.